Joining us now to dive into Trump's actions against DEI is Dr. Swain, Distinguished Senior Fellow for Constitutional Studies at Texas Public Policy Foundation and retired professor of political science and law at Vanderbilt University. Dr. Swain, thank you so much for joining us. Great to have you with us. Now, to begin, Trump issued a pointed and sweeping executive order to eliminate DEI-focused policies and programs within the federal government. How expansive was the previous administration's push for DEI within the federal government?
I mean, clearly the Biden administration and also our nation as a whole had moved too far away from the civil rights laws, especially the 1964 Civil Rights Act and the Equal Protection Clause of the Constitution. And the president also pretty much eliminated race based affirmative action, an executive order that Johnson had put in place in 1965. President Trump issued an executive order ending affirmative action as we know it today. And so it was wide, it is something that will have a tremendous impact on businesses as well as federal contractors. I also believe that it was the right thing to do. In 2023, I published a book, The Adversity of Diversity, and I argued that the Supreme Court's decision to end race based affirmative action in college admissions would doom DEI programs. And so DEI is out the door, and so is race based affirmative action.
And in his executive order, Trump said, quote, "We will forge a society that is colorblind and merit-based." How would you say DEI policy has impacted the culture and goals of the U.S. government?
Well, it's not just it has impacted our entire society, and I believe it's lowered standards, that it's hurt racial and ethnic minorities as well as other groups. And in a country that is as racially and ethnically diverse as America, you cannot have race-based policies. There are about 8 states that are either majority minority or they will soon be. There's no way you can favor one racial or ethnic group above another. And affirmative action also impacts other areas, other groups. It's not just race, but also religion, women, national origin. So there are other things that will be impacted by the end of DEI programs. And I think the left overplayed its hand, especially with the aggressive policies that related to the LGBTQ community. By executive order, they were included, and they just pushed Americans too far. But what we're doing is getting back to the civil rights laws that are on the books and our Constitution's Equal Protection Clause.
And Dr. Swain, there are a number of people out there who say the system doesn't always work in their favor, that hard work doesn't pay off as long as systemic problems like prejudice exist. What would you say about their concerns?
I would say that the system was working before we got aggressive DEI programs. The Civil Rights Act of 1964 was absolutely needed. And after that, we moved towards a system where the focus was on non discrimination, equal opportunity, and outreach. And in my book, The Adversity of Diversity, I talked about the system that I grew up in when I came of age. And I think that benefited a lot of people. You got your foot in the door, you got equal opportunity, but you had to work, you had to prove yourself. And there was a search for talented minorities. President Trump did not eliminate the executive order that encourages businesses to engage in non-discrimination, equal opportunity, and outreach. And that helps us to be in compliance with the Civil Rights Act of 1964, as well as our nation's Equal Protection Clause. There's lots of opportunities in America. This is not the 1960s. We are at a new point in America, and I think that we'll all be okay if we treat everyone equally under the law.
And expanding on that, you wrote on X today that the elimination of affirmative action takes us back to the Civil Rights Act and the Equal Protection Clause, that we can have diverse workplaces and institutions by following, quote, the laws of the land. Talk to us about that.
I mean, it speaks for itself. I believe that what has happened has been a tremendous lowering of standards that's hurt racial and ethnic minorities, especially people who worked hard to accomplish certain goals. Their attainments have been diminished by the fact that others were slipped in just because they belong to a particular group. And it's not just about race, it's also about uh, sexual orientation, the LGBTQ uh, groups. What we have seen with the Obama administration and the Biden administration and the pressure on corporations, they have brought in too many people and they've set up all these DEI programs so that they can say they have diverse workforces. And it's created a very divisive situation in workplaces, at colleges, and universities. And I think that once you eliminate the DEI programs, the people who are qualified that hold those positions, they will do fine. They will find jobs where they are valued because of who they are and what they do, not their race and their ethnicity, but the talents that they bring to the workplace. And so this is a step forward for America, and it's happening at the right time. Again, this is not the 1960s. This is a 2025. We've had affirmative action for more than 60 years. Our country has never been more diverse. And so this is the time for us to move ahead, get back to first things. The first things are non discrimination, equal opportunity, outreach, and compliance with the civil rights laws of our nation. That is what will make our nation strong.
Dr. Carol Swain, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.